because we have we have two special guests today. So we have Ivan Gonzalez, the security consultant as Deloitte Canada, and we have Kingsley Una, our AML manager. So fortunate to have them today, and they both have a very inspiring journey to share today, and both of them are ACCESS alumni, and we're gonna hear from them very shortly. So we also have Jeff Price, our community branch manager. We have Ria Ragbir, our banking advisor, our support team today on the line, and I will introduce them later on. So if you can go to the next slide for the agenda. Perfect. So, and the next slide is our agenda. And so I'm going to talk about what we have for you today. So we heard from Sonia already. And next, we're going to have our community branch manager, Jeff Price, to welcome from RBC. And then we're going to play a very short video to get to know RBC as an organization. And then I'm going to talk about a little bit about RBC purpose and value. And Ria is going to introduce RBC Markup Meeting Place where we work. And next, we're going to get into the main presentation. And I said, I know that Ivan and Kingsley, they had so much to offer today, and they're going to talk about their newcomer journey, their career journey, as well as their challenges along the journey, about their personal branding, and it's going to be lots of takeaways. And at the end, we are going to get to the Q&A. We're going to have time for networking. So let us know if you have any comments, any questions. So we would love to also hear from you. All right, so let's get started. So as I said, the first person I would like to introduce is our community branch manager, Jeff Price, who's also very passionate about the newcomer community. And that's actually why he attends almost all of our advice events. So Jeff is also responsible for one of the largest branches in Markham, which is Highway 7 and 404, as well as RBC Markham Meeting Place. And he has an 18-year career as a banking professional and a leader with a strong passion for helping his clients and employees achieve their goals. Thank you so much, Jeff, for joining us today. I'm just passing it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Naz. First, I just want to thank ACCESS for the opportunity to be here. I'm really looking forward to talking about networking today and personal branding. I know when I look back to when I first moved across the country and I came to Toronto and I didn't know a single person, I wish I had skills of how to expand my network. It's things that I figured out, a lot of stumbles along the way, but we have great resources here. So that if you don't know people or you do know people and you want to expand them, that you'll be able to kind of get a bit of a leg up and an advantage as you're navigating to a different location and expanding. So I really want to thank Ivan and Kingsley for being here today and giving your time to talk about your journeys and your experiences and where we've been at. And as always, I have to thank Naz and Ria for the work you guys do behind the scenes to make these events go so amazing, because they wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for you two. So thank you guys very much, and hope you guys all enjoy this presentation.
Great. Thank you so much, Jeff, for your ongoing support of Meeting Place, and we really couldn't do this without your support. All right, so now let's watch a very short video. We're gonna just run the video shortly, and we call it like This is RBC. And for any reason, if you're not able to watch the video, so this is also available on the YouTube. Great. Thank you so much, Ria, for playing that video. I really love this video. And as you just heard, like people here at RBC volunteering a lot, not because we have to, because we want to make a difference. And that's, again, that's why we are here today to help you and provide you some invaluable advice and guidance. And this is actually the great example of our purpose. Because our purpose is helping clients thrive and communities prosper. And our vision is to be among the world's most trusted and successful financial institution. So all of our achievements that we did is to living our values. RBC has around 80,000 employees that we are all guided by one set of values. So first is client first. We always earn the right to be our client's first choice. Second is collaboration. We always win as one RBC and we all work together as a partners. The other one is accountability. So we take our ownership for personal and collective high performance, and diversity and inclusion. And the last but not the least is integrity. So we hold ourselves to the highest standards to build trust. That was also a little bit about RBC that I wanted to share with you. So now I would like to pass it over to Ria to introduce herself and also introduce RBC Market Meeting Place.
Thank you so much, Naz. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this wonderful collaboration with RBC and ACCES Employment. You know, I'm so excited here today, especially with our guest speakers. Like I said, my name is Ria. I am a banking advisor at RBC Meeting Place. And many of us here today on this call were born elsewhere and are in Canada now, or are choosing Canada to be their intended home. You know, and RBC really recognizes that, embraces it, and encourages and supports diversity, as Naz mentioned as well. And we have a brand specifically designed for the newcomers in mind, and it's such an enjoyable role for me because we really get to be present in the community and work with organizations like ACCES Employment to empower the newcomers with, you know, just throughout their journey in Canada to help their settlement a little bit easier in Canada. And this is our core team who you heard from a few moments ago, and we all embrace RBC's purpose and value and share the same vision and passion for the newcomer community. However, that's our small but mighty team, but we also have an extensive support team, and you know, it spans from different branches, markets, and departments within RBC, and which is why I'm so excited, because we have alumni as our guest speakers. And I'm so honored to have them both here. They too were in your seats not too long ago, and they had the same doubts, uncertainty, the highs and lows, the questions, the concerns, and they overcame it and have done exceptionally well for themselves and finding their job in Canada and in their new home. And, you know, and they're here with us to share their experience and journey in hopes of alleviating any of those uncertainty for you. And they too want to give back to the community. And this is actually our RBC meeting place. We're located at Highway 7 in Leslie, 8500 Leslie Street in Richmond Hill, and we are an advice-giving branch. We've created a warm and welcoming environment to provide the support and the guidance and the resources, the information to the members in the community. And here's actually where I met Ivan. He was in one of the programs at the co-location with ACCES in 2019. And, you know, at that moment, you know, I know he has a passion of helping and giving back. So it's only natural that I asked him to present today with us. And these are some of the few community partners that we have. And we're so grateful to have partners like ACCES who, you know, they're one of our key partners in our journey. And together we can reach out and have those meaningful connections and make a greater impact in our community as well. And here, since we opened our doors in January of 2019, we were able to create awareness through our events in the community involvement. And here just are some of our few in-person events that we've had and facilitated. But then we took our reach in, digitally in 2020, and we're here with you guys on WebEx. And this just, you know, how we still connect with our clients to provide the guidance and resources that they need. And I am so pleased and so honored to introduce Kingsley, manager of AML oversight testing with over 15 years of experience in risk management, financial crimes, financial reporting, and in law enforcement and telecommunications. It's so wonderful how within a short space of time, how you've achieved so much in Canada and, you know, recently with your placement in RBC. So thank you, Kingsley, for your willingness and your willingness to participate and give back to the newcomer community. So over to you.
Thank you, Ria. It's always a pleasure to give back to the newcomer community. I haven't been, well, I'm a newcomer myself, so I'm still part of the community, and I thank the marketplace, RBC Marketplace, Ria, Naz, and Jeff for this opportunity to come talk to my fellow newcomers. And of course, I appreciate ACCES. I'm an alumnus of ACCES, and I know the great job they're doing right there in ACCES. So thank you all for giving me the opportunity to come speak to my fellow newcomers. And I just want to tell my story, then we'll talk through a bit of it and share the experience I had just over 2 years, not quite 2 years actually. I came into Canada in October 2019, and shortly after, in November, I joined the Leadership Connection cohort in ACCES Toronto, and that's where the story all started. And during the program, we were instructed by ACCES on how to build a network, how to get into the Canadian workplace, how to more or less fit into a Canadian workplace. Yeah, some of these things might sound elementary, but it's those little things that actually helped us to settle in quickly and helped us to really adjust to life in Canada. Next slide, please. Okay, so building a network. Everyone needs a network, regardless of where you're coming from. Even Canadians also build networks each day. So it's a normal way of working and relating within the Canadian environment, having a network of colleagues, a network of professionals, a network of friends. It just keeps that social bond going and helps you to interact better and to advance your own personal ambition. So it is not a big ask to say you have to build a network. It's how to build a network and how to sustain a network and use it to your advantage that we're going to be talking about. Next slide, please. So before this, I just want to go back to my story. So during the ACCES program, the Leadership Connection program, we met with a lot of people, a lot of company leaders. We had sessions with Deloitte, RBC, and other banks, BMO, TD, and the like. So we had experiences with leaders from each of those companies, and we took in advice that was coming from them. But the important thing about the interactions we had or ACCES made us have with those people was to build a network, to be able to relate with them and try to see how we could explore opportunities, learn about the Canadian workplace, learn about the industry that we want to get into, and probably build a network that would help us eventually land a job. So during the program, we also registered for TREAC. TREAC is a Toronto City program for employment for new immigrants. So we registered for that program, and I was matched with a vice president in RBC. And the only connection the Sobi, that's his name, and I had was that we were chartered accountants. But what he had done or what he's doing in RBC is completely different from what I'd experienced in my career. So there wasn't any way I could really fit into his group. And the first conversation we had, he asked, what exactly how can he help me settle into Canada? And I said, I just want to meet people. Just introduce me to people you know around, and people that I can have conversations with concerning a job prospect and whatever conversation, knowing RBC better and knowing the work environment better. And from my background, I've been in telecoms for 15 years, so I've not really, I've never done anything that relates to banking. But earlier in my career, I'd been a law enforcement officer and done money laundering. So I felt I could fit into financial crimes in the bank. And also because what I did in telecoms was revenue assurance and fraud management, which is the compliance part of telecoms. I felt I could settle into a compliance, a regulatory compliance function like AML or financial crimes. So started introducing me to people in fraud management and financial crimes. And each time I meet them, I made it clear what my background was, but I always relate my background to something that resonates with them. Try to paint a picture, try to marry my experience with what goes on in the bank, because I'd gone on to study what they do in financial crimes and what how I can apply my skills to that. So I kept from one person, meeting with one person, I got introduced to another, and about 5 or 6 people down the line, I met with someone who introduced me to a hiring manager when a job became available. And this wasn't just within two weeks. It took about a few months, about 6 months to get about. And eventually, I got interviewed for the role I occupy right now, and I got the job. So why the story? Just tell you how networking could actually help you land a job eventually. But we'll talk more about what's the skills in networking and the things I talk about when we meet with when I network with people. But basically, there are some things when we network, we just need to find out about, aside from just networking for the reason of getting a job, which is the eventual, which is what you are interested in and what you eventually want to get. But there are things you need to understand about the Canadian workplace and understand about the Canadian experience, which would make you settle in faster and help you even network better. Things like how people communicate in Canada, how they communicate in the workplace, the work culture, the feedback culture, which is somewhat different from what my experience back home, where we have a more direct feedback culture. Like if you want to tell somebody, this is what you need to do, this is what you've done wrong, this is what you're not doing right, you just go straight to it and just say, you're not doing this thing right, just go on and get it done. So that was a bit very straightforward. That's what I know happens in where I'm from, Nigeria, and some places that I've worked in, like in India. I've worked in India for a while, so I know the feedback culture is also direct. But in Canada, it's not. The way we communicate is a bit different. People are a lot more sensitive to others' feelings, and also the sort of language and the sort of feedback you want to give, so that you don't send the wrong message. All that you get from when you interact more with people, when you network. Then of course, diversity. Like we've seen from the RBC video, RBC is a very diverse organization, and such that is what you find typically in most Canadian workplaces. The diversity. Most of us here are from countries where you probably have people of one particular race, and that's what you're used to, that's your worldview. And now you're coming into an environment where you've got people from different parts of the globe, people from different races, people from different cultures, and all living and working together. So you'd really have to learn how to show respect for the individual and how to relate with each individual. Then, of course, the whole culture of empowerment and all is quite different here in Canada. All these things you would learn from just interacting with people, your peers, interacting with people that old recruitment roles and all that. So next slide, please, Ria. Next slide. So part of your networking is trying to show to people that you've got what it takes to fit into the workplace. Now, that is what an interview is there for, actually, trying to tell people, demonstrate to the would-be employer that this is what you can do, and your resume and also your experience fits into the job that is being advertised. But the interview might be too short a time for you to demonstrate all of this. And that's where networking bridges that gap. Networking helps you to tell your story in a more relaxed environment, and you also have the opportunity of someone helping you tell your story as well. Like if someone that is already in an organization introduces you to somebody, a recruiting manager, he's probably don't have the job for you. He's told your story that, oh, this guy is capable. So half of your story has already been told. You just come in to validate what has been said about you. So that kind of things network can help you do. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so some tips about networking. Who do you network with, and why? Now, you network for various reasons. You could network just to understand the industry. You could network to understand a particular role in a company, or just about your profession, how your profession is actually carried on within Canada. So that's who to network with would be occasioned by what you actually want to learn. If you want to learn about your industry and probably a role within a company, you then want to network with your contemporaries, people that's probably of the same level with you. They would be able to divulge what the organization stands for and what happens within the industry and within a role. But those guys are necessarily not going to give you a job because they are your contemporaries, right? So for the purpose of, after learning what you want to learn from those people, your contemporaries, then you start aiming higher, networking with people that can employ. And those people you network with that can employ, that would probably come after you've gained some valuable knowledge about the environment, the work environment, the industry, so that you don't go there blank. You go there demonstrating to them that you can fit into a role. Then networking is a two-way street. You don't want to go into a networking event being seen as someone that is coming to ask for help and have nothing to offer. The person you're networking with must see the value that you also bring into the table. And that is something you have to bear in mind. You have to position yourself and be able to tell your story in such a way that sounds valuable to the person, and whoever wants to network with you feels that talking to you would add some value to his experience or our experience and our knowledge about whatever topic you want to network about. Then where to network? There are various ways of networking. Thanks to LinkedIn, you can meet with people that you've never really had any connection with and try to introduce yourself and create a networking opportunity from there. Or you can have someone you know introduce you to some other person, and just continue to build network from there. Then, of course, industry events and professional associations. But finally, what I want to leave us with is, whenever you have the opportunity to network with someone, if someone has given you the audience to have a chat or to exchange ideas, there are things you want to go out of that conversation with. I call it an open check. You try to create an opportunity to check back with that person. So you ask the person that, is he or she open to listening, to getting feedback on your progress in your settling into life in Canada. That kind of gives you an open check. So you can check in at any time. You can also get the person involved in whatever you're doing concerning your settling in process, and it keeps a door open for further conversation. Also, you might want to ask the person to introduce you to other people. So that gives you an opportunity to expand beyond the person you just had a conversation with. But all in all, every time we network, we build for ourselves an opportunity to land that job that we desire or to improve on the job we already have. And that's all from me for now. And when the questions start coming in, we probably can discuss some more about how it was for me and how we can get networking to work for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kingsley. I always enjoy your perspective on networking because Naz know my passion for networking, and to be honest, even though we're already in our jobs and at RBC, we're still networking because it helps us, do well in our job. And that's how you and I met. It's because I found you on LinkedIn and I networked with you, and I saw your story on ACCESS Employment, and I wanted to hear more, and I wanted you to share more in your story and help inspire someone, who's joining this call today. So thank you again for being here. And those tips that you shared, I couldn't agree more, because and I love how you broke it down with contemporaries and leaders. I've actually never heard that. So thank you. I think networking, being strategic and purposeful in your networking is key. And I saw you highlighted that on there. So thank you again. And the purpose of networking, to know the industry, to know the company, to share your knowledge and your experience. I think that's a great key point as well. So I took my own notes as well. So thank you again for being here, Kingsley. And now I'll hand it over to Naz.
You're welcome, Ria.
Thank you so much, Ria. Yeah, I saw you were taking notes, so I did the same thing. Thank you so much, Kingsley, for the great tips. Very well said that networking is a two-way street, right? I love it. So thank you so much. We're going to get back to you very shortly at the end. So Ria, can you go to the next slide, please? All right, so let's introduce our next guest speaker. So as a newcomer himself, Ivan is so passionate about the newcomer community and giving back to the community, and that's actually why he's here today. And thank you so much, Ivan, for joining us again and for your ongoing support. So Ivan is a certified professional with a strong networking and project manager background with over 5 years of experience in IT cybersecurity. So Ivan, I told you this morning, so I also had a chance to hear from you once before, and I was so inspired by your journey. I know you went through so many challenges, so please share a little bit of your experiences, your challenges. So we would love to hear from you. So I just turned the time over to you, Ivan.
Yeah, sure. First, thank you for having me today as a guest speaker again to RBC, Access, NAS, and RIA. Really appreciate it. And also thanks to all the participants that are taking the time to come today and hear from us. So thanks for that as well. So today I'm just gonna speak about my own experience as a newcomer. Nothing special, just a simple story. What I did, what were the challenges, and some recommendations at the end. So hopefully anyone can take a few good tips from my side. And so you can better understand my situation, I'm going to give you a background and my prior experience, and then you will understand maybe much better about my challenges in the way. So I graduated in a university. I got a bachelor degree in electronics way back a few years ago. And so my first jobs were in IT. I had an extensive experience on networking and network security at that time, working with Cisco devices, Cisco equipment, firewalls, routers. So quite a good experience for around maybe 5 years. And then I transitioned, so I switched career to the oil and gas industry, which was completely different. And so I started with this new company in the oil and gas industry in 2006. And I was with them roughly for maybe 12, 13 years, quite a long journey with them. So in that company, I started as an analyst, and then I was moving up along the way, head of the department, and then I was assistant project manager at the end. In 2012, I decided to explore moving to Canada, and I applied. It was quite a long process. It took me like 2 years to get approved. Then I came for the first time in 2013, came back in 2015 for a while, but permanently I moved in 2017. When I came in 2017, I was still working for this oil and gas company, and I was working from home at that time. The head office was in Houston, so I was doing some kind of a job from here, from Toronto area for the company. However, the oil and gas industry at that time was having a hard time. So all the companies in that sector were actually struggling, and our company at that time was not an exception to that. So I decided at the time to try to explore moving or switching careers again, or resuming my IT career. One of the main points for me to move to Canada was to be able to have a regular job from Monday to Friday, where I could be at home every night with the family. Because in the oil and gas industry, when I was working there, I was working always remotely. 6 weeks out of the country in remote places, in very limited conditions for communication and things like that. And then I was coming back home for 2-3 weeks. So at the end, in 1 year, I could maybe spend 3 months at home and 9-8 months away. So I saw Canada an opportunity to find a job that basically allows me to be at home every night with the family. And so I decided to explore the possibility to switch back or resume my IT career. And I went one night to the Cisco web page, and they were offering a scholarship in a new program in cybersecurity, which I applied. I said, well, why not? And luckily, I got that scholarship, and I started that scholarship in April while I still was working in that company. I said, well, maybe in the future, this could be helpful for me. And it was. That same year in 2018, the company unfortunately went bankrupt, and all of us lost the job. And so there I was, August 2018, no job, but at least I was finishing my scholarship in cybersecurity with Cisco, and I saw that an opportunity to resume my IT career. So I completed that scholarship, and then I found out about this great ACCES program in Mark, and I was lucky enough to be in the first co-op that started that office that Ria was showing the pictures. That was a great time. And we learned a lot in those 3 months. As a newcomer, we got training on how to network, resume, interviews, all those good stuff that we always get in those programs. So I finished that program in March, and a few months later after that, in September that year, I started a program in a college here in Mohawk College in cybersecurity as well. It was 1-year program. And in 2020, last year, in January, I finally got my job as a security consultant at Deloitte. Okay, so that's my background. If you can please go to the next slide, Ria. Okay, so challenges I had along the journey. The first one, I think it was switching again careers from oil and gas industry to the IT field. And obviously, even though I had quite a good experience in IT and network security, it was outdated. It was more than 10 years ago. So that was quite a big challenge. And that's why one of the reasons why I started to do that scholarship and then enroll in that program at the Mohawk College to renew my knowledge, my technical knowledge in that field. Obviously, as a newcomer, I didn't have any prior Canadian working experience. So that was another challenge. Obviously, very limited networking. I barely knew anyone here. So going to a program like the ones that ACCES Employment offers is a good opportunity to expand your networking as well. Then my resume was quite complicated because I had quite a few long experience. I had senior positions as well. I become a APM at one point, head of the department. But at the same time, I was starting in a new field, but not new, but I was resuming my IT career. And so depending on what position I was applying, my resume could be seen as overqualified or underqualified because I didn't have recent experience in that field. Or if I was applying for a junior position, then they will say, okay, why are you applying a junior position when you were already having senior positions? So it was quite difficult for me to work on the resume. And obviously the age, it's not the same to resume careers or switch or change in the field, professional field when you are 20 or even 30. I think I'm in the mid 40s. I don't mind to say that. So it was also, I think, kind of a challenge there. And also I have financial pressure. And I guess maybe many of you may have the same situation. I lost my job and it took me more than 1 year to find a new one. So you would imagine how stressful that was on the financial pressure. I had a family, 2 children, and was quite challenging as well. Next slide, please. So I remember in March when we were just finishing that program at ACCES Employment, I applied for the first time to this position at Deloitte in March 2019. Never got a reply. Applied for the second time in June, no reply either. Then in September, again, as I said, I started my program at Mohawk College. In October, I saw the same ad for Deloitte and I applied for the third time. And I remember I said, well, I applied already twice for this job. Why I should apply the third time? Maybe, it's going to be the same. But then I said, well, what I'm going to lose if I apply again? I have nothing to lose and a lot to gain. And I applied for the third time. The only difference was that I put only that I was now studying at Mohawk College and doing that program. And I think that maybe got me to pass the HR filter. And then I got a call for an interview, went for the interview. It was a technical interview. It was a really good interview. And after that, I received the offer. And in January 2020, I started to work at Deloitte. Yeah, so next slide, please, Maria. So one of the key points or my recommendations to anyone is that every case is unique. My case or whatever worked for me, it may not work for you. And other things that maybe work for somebody may not work for the others. So every case is unique. In my case, it took long to get the desired job, but I took maybe a longest path going to college, getting certification, things like that. That was applicable to me, but it may not be the same path for everyone. So don't take my experience as, like a solid guideline that you may need to follow, because every case is unique. The second thing is, I think important is to try to find what you really want to do. I remember when I was in that program at ACCES, many of us were in that program for cybersecurity. And cybersecurity is so wide. You have so many different areas. And what I found is that none of us had a clear goal into what I would like to do. So yeah, we want to be in cybersecurity, but which field? And I think that is applicable to any other fields. So you really need to find what you really want to do and what you really want, where you want to work. And once you have that goal, just make a plan. Just make a plan, and that plan could be, how are you going to be networking? Are you going to be exploring some certifications or having some training on that field? But have a plan, because having a plan is the best way. Obviously, networking, Kingsley already explained a lot about networking, and that's key. Attending conferences and events is a really way to networking. I know in this situation is maybe purely online, but when we go back to normal, if you have the chance, just go to those events. It's a good way of, or a good opportunity to meet people and talk to them and expand your network. Training, again, this is, you need to have some training skills on the resume interview kind of side. These programs from ACCES Employment are great. On the technical side, you can have some certification if you want, or do some training by your own. That's always good and helpful. Isolate the noise. Yeah, on the way you will have always people telling negative comments and comments that maybe are gonna put you down, and that could come from anywhere. Even I remember my wife actually at some point saying to me, why are you still keeping, trying to get a job in that field when it's been so long? We are struggling. You need to get a job fast. Why don't you go back and do what you've been doing for the last 12 years, which is in the oil and gas industry, and all those kind of things. So yeah, try to isolate the noise and only take the positive comments. And that's positive thinking always. And again, the opening could come from anywhere, even a conference, somebody that you meet on LinkedIn, on a conference, in a program. So explore everything, because again, the opening could come from anywhere. Luck, I know that's maybe the only thing on that list that you cannot control, but I got to be honest, sometimes you need to also have some kind of luck. But that's the only thing that you cannot control, but everything else is on your hands. And I think the biggest advice for you is never give up. It took me a while it took me maybe, let's say almost 2 years, 1.5, but I finally got it. So I never gave up, and luckily and thankfully, I got the job I wanted. So that's it. That's my story. Nothing major, simple, and open now to any questions. And thanks again for listening.
Thank you so much, Ivan, for the great presentation. I knew it that you have so much to offer. I'm actually so impressed by the amazing journey and the path that you've taken. You know, like you went through so many challenges. Like you changed the industry, like from oil and gas to IT, like totally different industries.
Yeah.
Like when you came back to Canada in 2018, like without having like any Canadian experience, limited networking, right? And also you lost your job, like with having a family with 2 kids. That's not easy, but the good thing is that you never gave up, right? And you were persistent in order to get your desired job. And now you're here sharing your journey as a very successful security consultant at Deloitte Canada. And this is very, very encouraging. And I guess maybe like some of our attendees are passing through the same stage that you've passed as a newcomer, and your experience would be very beneficial for them. And, you know, they like hopefully help them to overcome the difficulties around their way. And as you said, don't listen to negative thoughts, negative feedback, even to your wife, right? So take the positive comments. And and you talk about luck, and I can tell that we're lucky to have you today. Thank you so much, Ivan.
Thank you. Appreciate
it. Great. So we have time for a Q&A. So Ria, let's see if there's any question in the chat box. If not, maybe we can start with some of the questions that we get it from our newcomers, from clients. I guess you're on mute, Ria.
No, there isn't any. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to input them in our chat group, because you may have the same struggles. I know, Ivan, you were very transparent, and thank you for your honesty and your humbleness in sharing your experience. I know when I initially met you, and you know the group that you were with at ACCES Employment, I always told you that those are going to be your first friends in Canada, and I know that remained to be true, because I know we're all in touch with each other. And one of your colleagues also told me that, you know, your story is so humbling and so interesting. So I'm glad I'm here today to experience it and for you to share it with everyone. So thank you again. I just wanted to say that. And Kingsley, you as well, you know, your passion for networking is exceptional, and I share the same. And, you know, like I said, but we do always get a lot of questions around networking. So Daz, if you wanted to probably just share or maybe ask a couple of those.
Sure, I see a raised hand, but I'm not sure if you can unmute. Like you can use the chat box actually.
Yeah, they can. Yeah.
So I see a comment from Shruti. Hi, mentors. Thank you for your presentation. Let me see. It's just.
Sure, you can just type your question and we can definitely get it answered. I don't think we are able to.
Yeah, I think I see one on the chat that says, I'm in the early 50s. Do they still have a chance? And yes, for sure. I would say, and I was reading some articles and studies about this. Nowadays, we are, the generations nowadays are going to last longer. So you will see like people now could last easily 80, 90 years. When 20, 30 years ago, it was only 60. So what I'm trying to say is that now it's the 40s and 50s, like at the 20s or 30s, a generation back. So yeah, I think 45, 50, early 50s, still a chance. Just don't give up. And yeah, and actually Canada is pretty open to that. So I was coming from a country where they look a lot about age, but I don't see a problem here. And I'm one of those cases. I was able to change in the mid 40s. So yeah.
Great. So there is a question also. This is about like the two-way benefits of on networking. So she said that I have a question about the two-way benefits on networking. Let me see if she has typed it. So yeah, if you can ask your question.
Yeah, so I see another question. Do you think a bridging program is useful or college for cybersecurity? Yes, both. Both. Every time you take a program, you will learn so much. Even if it is a bridging program, you will learn about the networking, resume, interview, all those skills that you need And then always also any technical training in college, whatever, is also really good. We that are now working, we are taking many trainings every week, every year. Unfortunately, in IT, if you're going to be in IT or cybersecurity, is a study for life. Unfortunately, we need to be upgrading every week, every month, and even though we are already an employee, we need to get a few certifications per year. So yeah, technical knowledge trainings, that's also helpful. That's for sure.
Perfect. That was a great question. So Shruti, I finally got your questions here. So you want to know about like how to offer to the other person with whom you're trying to build a network. So maybe Kingsley can, you already touched point on the two-way street networking, right? If someone wants to like how they can approach in terms of like initiate the networking with someone.
Okay. Okay. That's a good question, and the simple thing is, you've got experience that the other person hasn't had. That's the advantage you have over the other person you want to network with. I like speaking for myself. I'm coming into Canada after 15 years in telecoms, including senior positions in telecoms, and I'm an expert when it comes to telecoms matter. Now I'm talking to someone in banking, and the person doesn't know anything about telecoms, but we manage subscribers, we manage things that have to do with subscribers, including fraud, subscriber fraud and all. And the way you position yourself and the stories you tell the person would be something he or she has never had an experience about and would be interested in knowing. How do you manage fraud within a telecom space? How can you transfer that knowledge of managing fraud to a banking space? That's what I mean by a two-way relationship. Now that person is also intrigued about your experience and knows that you have something he or she doesn't have and would want to learn about. Or you're coming from a different regulatory environment. Speaking about financial crimes, for example, you're coming from a different regulatory environment, completely different from Canada's, and what you're sharing with the person you're networking with is something the person probably hasn't experienced before. And you're telling the person this is how it works back home in Nigeria, and he or she can broaden his knowledge and from that conversation. That's what I mean by making it a two-way thing.
Great. Thank you so much, Kingsley. So I'm going to also answer one of the questions. So great morning to all leaders. I'm a newcomer here with banking experience of over 5 years. So it is advisable to enter the banking industry at entry-level job or acquire certification like CSI. This is a very great question. I'm gonna just cover quickly. So if you would like to apply for the entry level, like a client advisor role at RBC, you do not need to have any certification. And I would say the client advisor role is an amazing way to get a great foundation for Canadian banking. Like, is a very great starting role to make sure that you have building blocks for success in the future. But if you would like to start with then like banking advisor or financial advisor, like banking advisor role, you need to have your CSC, Canadian Security course, or FX, Investment Funds Canada, and both courses will be like they're all available through the CSI. So I hope that I answered your question. So Ria, if you can go to the next slide. So you also can contact myself or Ria if you have any other questions regarding like a banking roles. So it's almost 12 o'clock. So maybe so we can hand it over to Sonia for wrapping up.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to change role here and share my screen.